What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be taking a look at typecasting in the Python programming language. Now, first off, in the last video we covered variables. A variable, essentially, you can create it, you can store values, and you can use them later in your program by referencing their name instead of repeating their values. When you change their values, their names will correspond to those values because their names store those values. For example, if I change this, credit card will actually adapt to that number instead of having to use the same number again and again. We actually can just store it here and then use it later. So that's absolutely, amazing. Yeah, that's cool. But now we're going to take a look at today's concept, which is typecasting. And that's going to basically tell us how can I change from this type to this type. For example, if I had, my age inside of a string like 90. Okay, so I'm not that old, but if this was, say my age 9 years old or something, what if I wanted to make this int? Because you know that this is a string because it's inside of quotation marks, but it's storing a number of values, so I probably want to make an int. Well, what I can do is I can just type in, I can print age, and you'll see we'll get the result 90. Python, you have to click on terminal, new terminal, okay? And then what you'll do is type in Python type. So create a new file called type_casting.py, and then inside that file create a variable called age, assign it a string 90 and print out age over here, and then go to the terminal, type in Python type_casting.py, and then once you do that, the result should say 90 like this. Well, you might assume, okay, what's the difference? It's still working, it's still showing 90, but even though it's not an integer. Well, I can actually make this into an actual integer. So, for example, for right now, if we actually want to see what type of variable it is, we can type type, which gives us the type of an object, and this is called a function. For example, print is a function. You type in print, and then you type in two quotation marks, and you pass inside some information to print out. In this case, type, you wouldn't pass in information to print it out here. Instead, type will actually return the type of an object. So over here, I type in type, two quotation marks, and then I put in the variable that I want to know the type of. So in this case, if I want to find out the type of age, I would type in type, and then put in age inside, and then I would find out what data type age is. If I print this out, it should say string. So over here, it gives us this little weird looking message with these angle brackets and this class keyword. You don't need to worry about that, but just focus inside of these quotation marks. It says str, and str is what string is. So basically, Python still recognizes this number 90, which should be an integer, but it still thinks it's a string. Well, how can we fix that? How can we make sure that this is, 90 like this instead of this? And what if I want to be lazy? What if I want to make this into this, an integer 90, without having to do that? Well, all I have to do is I have to use something called typecasting. This is where I can convert this into an integer. So what I can say is age, I can actually redefine a variable. So if I type in a variable again, and give it an equal sign, then I can say int, and essentially what this does is it converts any variable into an integer. So now I can just put in age, and this will turn into an int. So if I run this again, there we go. So now it's an integer. So that's great. And we can do this as much as we want. We say credit_card. I could put inside of a string, and I can immediately get credit card again into integer version of credit card. And I can actually print out these values. Print age credit_card. And then I can go over here, hit the up arrow key to get the same thing that I typed before and hit enter, and I should see 90 and then my credit card. And both of these are integers. And to check that, we can just say int age, int credit card. Sorry, int credit_card. And then I can up, enter, okay, and then both of these are ints. If I run that again, I save this. Oh, sorry, if I type in type, change this to type again, and then Control S, run. Both of these are ints. Okay, so that's great. Well, let's just do a few different conversions. So what if I want to change, okay, so say my GPA is equal to 4. Well, most GPAs usually will have like a decimal position. Actually, what if I use more accurate? So what if I say distance, create a variable distance, and say like 50. Now, what if I want a more precise distance? Well, I need to actually make this into an int to float conversion. And what I have to do to that is, instead of just saying 50, I'll make this comment go underneath here, and I'll say distance is equal to the float version of distance. So what this will do is it will say this variable distance is going to be redefined. So anytime you redefine the variable, the first time it's defined up on the program, so I go down and I redefine over here, this will actually, Python will ignore all previous definitions of distance. It will only look at the latest time that you typed out distance and what it's equal to. In this case, distance is equal to the floating point version of distance. So now, what is distance? Well, essentially distance is 50, right? And so if we print out distance right now underneath that, so if I print out distance before and after, you can see what happens. So over here, clearly 50 is an integer, so distance before it became a float, and after we converted it into a float using this function, and we printed out distance, it becomes 50.0, so that's how typecasting works. There's a few others, but I will not be covering that in the video because it has to be as fast as possible. And with that said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button and see more videos to learn Python as fast as possible. I'll see you guys in the next one.